Everyone for coming. Crystal, do we have a quorum, please?
Councilmember Contreras, Councilmember Van Sant, Councilmember Renenbaum, Mayor Pro Tem Leah Young, and Councilmember Crummell, along with Mayor Doyle Moss.
Okay, thank you. At this time, would you please stand? Mike Pedersen of Willow Park Baptist Church is going to give the invocation and the pledge. Mike, thank you for coming.
Let's pray. Father, as we gather here tonight, we ask, Lord, that you would give wisdom, direction, and guidance to these members of council. And Father, they have a heavy weight on their shoulders to be able to make the decisions that involve this city. So I ask, Lord, that you would give them wisdom in this direction. And Father, everything that's done here tonight will be according to your will and your plan. And Lord, we'll thank you for it. We ask it in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Join me in the pledge. Salute. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mike, thank you. This time, we have a check presentation to Parker Pauls. Rose, you're up.
Council, members of the audience, as many of y'all remember, we had a dog theme festival called Willow Bark a couple of months ago. It was a community outreach event, but it was also a way to support a local rescue organization. We'd like to thank our sponsors for the event, primarily our presenting sponsor, the Roger Williams dealership, who very generously wrote a check to help offset this event. But we are pleased to donate part of the proceeds today. This is a check for $3,000 for the Parker Paws organization.
Very
Parker
good.
Paws rescues hundreds of animals every year. Gets them in foster care, gets them out of overcrowded shelters, basically saves their lives. So we hope we can do some good for you guys with this.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it. This will go a long way to helping us here. As Rose mentioned, Parker Paws is a nonprofit group, so something like this really means a lot to us. We're 100% funded by donations, and this will go a long way to help us continue our mission of reducing the pet overpopulation and shelter overcrowding. Rose, thank you so much for everything you did to make this event possible. It was a great event, and it was fun-filled, family for the community. So I know everybody really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thanks, Christy.
Well, I've been taking orders from women my entire life. It's fine with me.
Hear, hear. Thank you. At this time, we'd like to approve the council meetings of the November 9th, 2021 council meeting minutes. Do we have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion to approve the city council meeting minutes, November 9, 2021.
Second.
We have a motion second. Any other questions or discussion? All in favor? Thank you. First agenda item, to consider all matters incident and related to the issuance and sale of City of Willow Park, Texas combination tax and waterworks and sewer system revenue certificates of obligation, Series 2022, including the adoption of an ordinance authorizing the issuance of such certificates in the amount not to exceed $5.775 million to finance the cost of paving contractual obligations to be incurred for acquiring, constructing, improving, maintaining streets, thoroughfares, bridges, alleyways, and sidewalks within the city, including related storm drainage improvements, traffic signalization and signage, streetscaping and median improvements, and utility relocations, and the acquisition of right-of-ways therefore, constructing, acquiring, purchasing, renovating, enlarging, and equipping park facilities, and the acquisition of rights of way therefore, and professional service rendered in relation to such projects and the financing thereof. Mr. Grimes.
Yes, this is the culmination of the street projects that the discussions we've had, the notice that we put roughly 2 months ago of issuance of the bonds, and the subsequent discussions therein. We've worked hard on this, and I think the council has done a great job of deliberations on what projects need to be funded. We have many, and we have several. Eric Maha with Hilltop Securities is here today. He's going to walk us through the bond process, where we are and what the next few steps are, assuming passage of this agenda item.
of information here.
Thank you.
This is from yesterday, right? Yep.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. As Mr. Grimes mentioned, Eric Maha with Hilltop Securities. The item before you is an ordinance to approve sale of certificates of obligation. As mentioned, the council initiated the process a couple months back. And so yesterday, we actually went into the bond market and the certificates priced in the market yesterday, meaning the interest rates were set and all the final terms. And then, so the ordinance is here before council this evening. We put together a packet of information based on yesterday's results for review, and I can walk through some of the numbers, but on the cover, I wanted to point out, as part of the process, you know, we always have to go back to the rating agency, Standard & Poor's, who currently rates the city of Willow Park. The rating agency in this case affirmed the city's AA rating, which is a very good bond rating, and that helps market the bonds in the market to investors. And so we have a copy of the actual report on the back of the packet, but I did want to highlight that the rating was affirmed at that AA level. So congratulations on that. You'll notice also on the cover, and we can talk more about it, the principal balance on the certificates is below the notice amount, which is legally obligated, but it came in at $5,045,000. So the city will pay interest back on that amount. And the certificates actually sold at a premium yesterday, 101 cents on the dollar, if you will. And so we were able to lower that principal balance and still produce $5.5 million to the construction fund for the city. So, the very first page, page 1, there's a packet of information that was prepared, just a snapshot of that information on pages 1 and 2 that investors received prior to making decisions to place orders yesterday. Page 3, this page is a tax impact analysis. I know it may be familiar to council from past meetings. We've plugged in the final numbers in terms of debt service, principal interest payments. And in the past, I know we discussed property values and the assumptions there being somewhat conservative. We have the city's existing debt that's supported from the tax rate, shown in column D, and then tonight's item, columns F and G, is what the council is more or less approving, the payment structure on the certificates on the $5,045,000. And these are fixed rate obligations, so the interest rate will not change. They're fixed for the life of the certificates, which is set to mature in 2042. And then you can see the projected tax rate in column L on the far right side. And of course, that can change each year depending on property values.
And that does not, as we've discussed in the past, that does not include our frozen tax levy that's not calculated in the interest and sinking rate.
Correct. Any surplus received from that can go to mitigate that tax rate.
Yeah.
You also notice, and we've talked about in the past, I know, I'll reiterate again, in 2026 to 2027, there's a decline in the city's debt levy or levels in that year. So you have a natural decline in your existing bond payments. Page 4, I can quickly mention, as mentioned, the project fund will be funded for $5.5 million. The closing is scheduled, pending council approval. The documents will go, the transcript will go down to the Texas Attorney General. They take 3 or 4 weeks for their review, and then we have the closing scheduled for January 13th of 2022. So that the city will receive the $5.5 million at that time. And there is since we're selling the certificates early in the fiscal year, there is a payment coming due August of 2022 that's not in the city's budget. So we've allowed for some capitalized interest to be funded. That capitalized interest will make that first payment for the city. And then starting next year, when the city goes to set the tax rate, we'll accommodate this.
Can you explain that capitalized interest?
Yes, and what that is, it's more or less we're taking some of the proceeds from the sale, we're putting them in, it will go into the city's debt service fund on the closing date. So the city will receive the $5.5 million for construction projects, and then $101,000 will be in the debt service fund and be available to make that August payment coming due. The other option would be not have an August payment, and so the first payment would have been February of 23 and would have been a little higher in terms of interest. And so the city would have had to set the tax rate a little higher next year to accommodate that. So this is one way to make that payment sooner, and then you'll have the funds to make it. And then the other, and on the bottom, or towards the bottom of page 4, the true interest cost, the effective rate, if you will, came in at 2.31%, 2.315. Page 5, again, the sample debt service schedule, going through 2042. Page 6, this really gets into the nuts and bolts of the pricing yesterday. The actual yields range from 1.34% up to the 1.97%. And as I mentioned, the average or effective rate is at 2.31%. So very good interest rate. The certificates, the city will have the option, you're not obligated to, but you would have the option to prepay or refinance or refund starting in 2031 with these certificates, and that's pretty standard. About 19 years from now, you'd have that option. But given that the interest rates are around 3%, we'd have to look at it, see what interest rates are at the time, but you would at least have the option. Page 7, we've included a graph, a historical graph in terms of municipal bond interest rates, going back to 2001, so a 20-year history. You can see the blue line, that's one of the indices we follow historically. You can see for the last 2 years, we've been in a historically low interest rate environment. And I will say, I know we all follow the news with inflation talk and things going on. I think there's a sense that rates will go up at some point. We haven't quite seen it yet in our market. And I will say, I think we picked a good time of the year because towards the end of this week, I think the market will get very slow as it typically does leading into the holiday season. So I think it was good to get it in the market, locked in, and then close in the first part of the year. But obviously a good time historically in terms of real interest rates. Page 8, the same information, just in table form. This is a weekly index. I think it's a good way to track where we've moved over time in terms of bond rates, tax-exempt bond rates. Historically low, as I mentioned. And then the back few pages are the copy of the standard and board report. I won't go through that in detail, but that's there for council to have.
Is the top rating a AAA?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
So, and each AA has a AA plus, AA, AA minus. So the city's 2 notches away from the AAA mark.
Good. Thanks, Eric.
Yes, sir. And these numbers have been drafted in the ordinance here before council.
Okay, we have a report. Do we have a motion, please?
Any questions?
Any questions?
Is everybody clear on the projects we want to do? The projects that were submitted? Anybody have a problem with that? Is the preliminary look, is our first priority? I'll put that in the packet.
Okay.
Are you going to have Derek, are we going to get a more finalized what he thinks, or is that, those numbers are pretty close to what we think those projects are going to cost? Or do we do a design and have an OPCC?
Well, I think we'll give you an OPCC.
Okay.
Before we design.
Okay, so that would allow us to know a little bit better what fund, how much we're using. Okay.
Yeah.
The process is pretty long.
Right, that's why I asked. Thank you.
Okay, do we have a motion, please?
Do we need to read the ordinance caption?
Yes. Yes.
I'll make a motion that we approve an ordinance authorizing the issuance of City of Willow Park, Texas combination tax and revenue certificates of obligation, Series 2022, providing for the payment of said certificates of obligation by the levy of an ad valorem tax upon all taxable property within the city and a pledge of the net revenues derived from the operation of the city's combined waterworks and sewer system. Am I on the right page? Waterworks and sewer system? Page 14?
That's correct.
Okay, that is correct?
Yeah.
Eric, thank you.
Park system.
Yeah, but the city's pledging its tax base and utility system.
Yes.
you.
Yes.
Providing the terms and conditions of
Yes.
said certificates and resolving other matters incident and relating to the issuance, payment, security, sale, and delivery of said certificates, including the approval and execution of a paying agent registrar agreement and the approval and distribution of an official statement and providing an effective date. Does that sound right, Eric? Thank you. That's my motion.
The confusion was, we're going, all of our enterprise funds,
Right.
yeah.
Yep.
We have a motion. Do we have a second, please?
Second.
Any other questions or discussion? All in favor? Thank you. Item number 3, to approve a resolution authorizing professional service provider selection for the American Rescue Plan Act. Mr. Grimes.
As part of the American Rescue Plan Act funding, we were required to do an RFP for administrative services, and we did that RFP late November, I believe. And we received a number of applications, or proposals, excuse me, from GrantWorks, Trailer and Associates, and Langford Community Management. We had a 3-person staff committee of Bill Funderburk, Crystal Dozier, and Tony Fisher review the proposals from the administrators. And GrantWorks was the highest score of 96. And so staff's recommendation is that we approve GrantWorks in the resolution that's included in the packet, that GrantWorks is selected to provide project-related admin services for ARP Act programs, and that we can proceed. After we select the admin, the next step is GrantWorks will prepare the RFP for engineering services, and I assume that we will send a letter to Jacob and Martin for those services, as well as 2 other firms as required. And then the same selection committee will review the engineering proposals, we'll score those, and we'll come back hopefully in January and select the engineer.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve the work to GrantWorks?
Question before that.
Yes.
So we have the 3 scores totaled and averaged by the evaluators. Can you advise how they get those scores? So, because, I mean, there is a difference between 96 and the closest one at 85, so.
I want to let Tony or Bill, y'all were on the scoring, or Crystal, y'all were scoring those. Is there a, there was a score sheet,
There was a scoring sheet
and there was,
that was sent to us from the government, and so we went by that scoring sheet, is how it was done. They told us how many points to award each section. So they were divided, I believe, in 4 different sections, and so we scored them off that sheet.
any questions?
Any other questions? Do we have a motion, please?
Do we need to read the ordinance?
Do we know the resolution number?
Just approve GrantWorks as the admin for the American Rescue Plan Act program.
I'll make a motion to approve GrantWorks as the professional service provider selected for the American Rescue Plan Act.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any other questions or discussion? All in favor? Thank you. Item number 3, to consider amending the water and wastewater utility fee schedule to reflect the new Fort Worth water impact fees collection rates.
Council, under the contract with Fort Worth, we must start charging the Fort Worth water. Wastewater does not come into play here, but the Fort Worth water impact fees, according to contract. Their fees, and to do that, we must pass an ordinance to adopt that fee schedule from Fort Worth. And in your packet, you're going to see different, the remainder of this month, and then there'll be new impact fees starting January 1 out of Fort Worth. Those have already been approved with their council. And so what we're doing, we're changing the utility fee schedule. We will just be adding the Fort Worth impact fees to it. And so this is just a pass-through. What we'll be charging, this will be new development, what we charge developers, every nickel will be sent right to Fort Worth. Okay?
Question.
Yes, sir.
Is the Willow Park impact fee also going to be in play as well, or are they combining them together? We charging them 2 impact fees, which is now 1?
That's right.
Okay.
We still will charge Willow Park impact fees, and then we'll charge Fort Worth impact fees. We'll be looking in the spring, in fact, Derek's already working on a CIP, updating the CIP, so we'll come back in the spring, and you will consider the Willow Park water and wastewater fees in the spring. And then at that time, we will also will be amending the ordinance to adopt the 23 Fort Worth fees that they have already adopted, but Pat and I talked earlier, and so we're leaving that off until we come back with the Willow Park impact fees.
So there's no negotiation in this. It is what it is. from
It
Fort
is
Worth,
what it
right?
is. There's no negotiation.
Pat, you want to comment on negotiating with the city of Fort Worth?
Yeah, no, it was definitely a take it or leave it on that.
Yeah. And our average, the residential meter is 5/8.
That's the base one, yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, this is just for new development, so this isn't for existing
Right.
water customers. This is for,
Any other questions? Do we have a motion, please?
The ordinance is at your dais there, if you'd read the caption of that.
yeah.
What's the number?
We're not.
No numbering?
We're not going-
That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you approve it.
I'll move to adopt an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Willow Park, amending Article 13.08 of the Code of Ordinances to provide for the assessment and pass-through of Fort Worth water system access fees for water, providing a cumulative repealer clause, providing for a severability clause, and providing an effective date.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other questions? All in favor? Thank you. Item number 4, to approve a resolution appointing a voting member and alternate to the Wholesale Water and Wastewater Customary Advisory Committee. Bill?
Council, is a wholesale provider, seller of Fort Worth water, and I believe there's 33 that Fort Worth has. Then you may appoint a voting member and an alternate to serve on the advisory board. This advisory board, I believe they meet quarterly, and but we must name a voting member. Council must appoint a voting member and an alternate to serve on this advisory board. Staff recommends that you appoint Brian Grimes as the voting member and Michelle Geiger as the alternate member to serve. Since they're
Okay. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to appoint voting member Brian Grimes and alternate member Michelle Gelker to the Wholesale Water and Wastewater Customer Advisory Committee.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Thank you. Item number 5, to consider a final plat, Lot 1R4, Block A, and Lot 1, Block B, Crown Bluff Addition, being a replat of Lot 1R2 and Lot 1R3, Block A, Crown Bluff Addition, in 7.591 acres. David Addington Survey, abstract number 21, City of Willow Park, Parker County, Texas, located in the 4400 block of IH-20 Service Road and Clear Fork Circle. Ms. Betty.
Thank you, Mayor, council members. This is a final plat of a replat. The proposal is from Jamie Mitchell, who is the owner of the property, to plat Lot 1R4, which is a 4.897 acre lot, and Lot 1 Block B is a 7.499 acre lot. There was a planned development for RV storage approved in May of this year by the commission and council, and this planned development will be for the Willow Park RV storage. It will consist of 340 recreational vehicle storage units, as well as a leasing office. It's approximately 12.4 acres altogether. Lot 1R4, which you can see is the lot that is highlighted in yellow, that there is a 25-foot mutual access, fire lane, and public utility easement that is the primary and only access off of the service road, and it is shared with 415 RV Park. Both of the lots were platted this way, and that still remains. Then on Lot 1, Block B, it has primary frontage on Bankhead and Clear Fork Circle. There is also a variable width right-of-way dedication along Clear Fork Circle to achieve the 50-foot right-of-way dedication from the service road down to Bankhead. And the lots will be served from city water with 6 and 8-inch water mains. There is no sanitary sewer in the area, so the leasing office will be served with a private sewage disposal system. The stormwater drainage improvement plans have been submitted and are being reviewed by our engineer. This final plat comes forth with a favorable recommendation from the Planning and Zoning Commission and staff as it meets the requirements of the city's subdivision ordinance for a final plat. Mr. Mitchell, the owner and developer, is here, and also his engineer, Chuck Stark. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions?
So what's changing on this from what we approved on in May?
You approved the plan development.
Correct.
We are now replatting the property. The Lot 1, Block B, which is the green area, was not platted. It
Okay.
was in a survey tract. Lot 1R4 was actually 2 lots. And now it's being replatted into a single lot, and it's the yellow area. And then we do have the variable width right-of-way dedication that is coming on the west side of Clear Fork Circle.
So Betty, are you recommending approval contingent upon the drainage?
We still have, there were still a few things. Primarily, it's finished. We just will not release the plat for final until those actual improvement plans have been finalized and approved by both Public Works, Fire, and Utilities. The plat itself meets the requirements of the ordinance for a plat, and the others should be completed probably within the next week or so.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions? Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the final plat Lot 1R4, Block A, and Lot 1, Block B, Crown Bluff Addition, as presented.
We have a motion. A second, please.
Second.
Any other questions or discussion? All in favor? Thank you. Item number 6, to authorize the mayor's signature on a Chapter 380 agreement between the city and UNCO.
Yes, council, if you remember, I think it was back maybe in our October meeting, that we finalized a 380 agreement with UNCO Standard Service. And we had sent that for their signature. And I believe one of the provisions we put in there that it was non-transferable, they couldn't transfer it to another party. They wanted to rewrite some of that language. I think, Pat, they're going to put in a holding company, is that correct?
Well, basically, they will allow them to transfer to a wholly owned affiliate of theirs, so there'll still be the same principles involved, and so we allowed for that change, but that's what we wanted to bring it back to you, just for clarification.
But not sell the property
That's
to
correct.
another? It
Yeah.
has to stay within
Wholly
that?
owned
Yeah.
Okay.
subsidiary.
And they have already signed the, I think they've signed the 380.
Oh, they sent it to us just the other day.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay, do we have a motion, please, or any other questions?
I'll make a motion to authorize the mayor's signature on a Chapter 380 agreement between the city of Willow Park and UNCO.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any other questions or discussion? All in favor? Thank you. Item number 7, to consider any future agenda items.
So we will not have a meeting, a second meeting in December. That would have been on December the 28th, and we're going to meet in January. So that the January 11th meeting, I have on here is to order the May election for places, what are you, 3?
Is that?
3, 4, and
3,
5.
4, and 5.
Yes. Sorry, I had to do my quick math up here. For place 3, 4, and 5. We'll have to go into contract with Parker County to hold the election, or to operate the election, I should say. We have to update ordinances, boards, and commissions. We'll have some recommendations for you guys to consider in January. There's some appointments of board members in January as well. And then we will have a city hall update per your request in January. That's what I have so far. Is there anything else y'all would like to add?
Yeah, at some point, I would like to see some transition plans of what we need to do with this building, if we have to go to another facility for a while, or?
I was going to incorporate that into a city
Okay,
hall.
gotcha.
If that's okay with you.
That's fine.
Rate study, do we feel that that's?
Rate study will be January 25th.
Okay,
We visited with, in fact, they were still asking questions today.
okay.
So, but we all agreed that they could probably have it on the 11th. I just don't know if we'd have enough time to review it
Okay.
by the 11th, so the 25th of January.
Brian, I think you're gonna have to have a public hearing on the environmental assessment for the wastewater.
That was the one thing I've been thinking about all day. Yeah.
Okay, anything else?
Update from Half and Associates in regards to El Chico pumps, water pump
You're
station.
about to get it.
Oh, we are?
Yeah.
Oh, great.
And I'd like to get some thoughts from our communications director about how we expand information getting out to the community. It appears we had some issues with the drainage fee, the drainage utility fee. You know, people were surprised by that, so if there's some other things we should be doing, I'd like to hear about that, what some ideas might be.
We may have some of that discussion here in a second, too.
Okay.
We're kind of changing things up. We're going to give you guys reports from staff members. And I think in the future, Crystal, we may move this agenda item to after the reports, because I think we're going to answer some of their questions.
Wherever you want to put it.
Yeah, I'd like to see then the stuff that we don't cover tonight, the future items that.
Would you like to table number 7 and come back to it after the
I
reports?
think that would be wise at this point so that we know what we.
Okay.
We're going, let's go to reports.
Usually put it in reports
Okay.
I'll second that motion.
All right, so we've tabled 7. We'll do the reports and come back to 7. Sound good?
Yes.
Okay. Michelle, you're up.
Evening, council. Y'all had requested an update on the emergency preparedness. Right now, this is in 2 separate ballparks. So I have winterization and emergency preparedness, which is Senate Bill 3 right now, and they're separate from me, so I'm going to kind of talk about them separately, but they are together, I promise. We have been working, we've installed heat trace, and we've insulated all of the wells, all the exposed piping. This summer, we went around, we checked all of our HVAC units that are on our pump buildings. The buildings that don't have HVAC units themselves, we got space heaters in them. They're already up and operational. We've already been adding the anti-gelling agent to the diesel, because unfortunately the low temperatures have already caused that to kind of gel just a little bit, not much. So we have inspected all of our generators. I've had Cummings out on multiples of them. They're all running fine. The on-site generators are coming on automatically like they're supposed to, and that's a requirement under SB 3. So we're good there. We have our portables. We're checking them. We're rebuilding them as needed. I'm going to look into purchasing a couple more just so we have them on hand. Chase last week got us another truckload of sand, the sand's kind of dual purpose for us. We use it in the icy weather, but we also use it to fill in our leaks. So as we go through it, we order more. And we still have plenty of salt from last year. I did order last week 7 more generators that are going to be on site for what we determined is critical load. So not every site, because of what it produces, is going to get a new generator, but those are on order for those that we have designated as critical. And they are 12 to 16 weeks out right now, which is not bad considering everything else. So. Brian has asked Derek and I to start looking into replacing water lines, like small projects, 100 to 150,000. Derek and I sat down a few weeks ago, and we decided to kind of look in this area around City Hall, because this is a lot of 2-inch lines. We're going to start trying to replace them, upsizing them as well. And then the Willow Springs and Willow Springs Oak, so FM5 in that area south of town. Finally, on the meters, we have all the small meters in as of today. All the smaller commercial, so the 3/4 and 1-inch meters are all in. We have, most of what's left is the 1.5 to 2-inch meters. They're all on order. They're 18 weeks out right now, which is not as bad as our radios, which are 42 weeks out. So thankfully, we have plenty of radios to finish up, but we're starting to see supply chain issues, and with our developers, it's starting to hit a little bit, so we're trying to get bulks in, so we have some on hand. Then what all we'll have left is about 10 3-inch, 4-inch, and 6-inch, and we'll do those towards the end of this next coming year. The customer portal is ready to go live. We're going to do that probably January 4th. I'm going to get with Rose over the next couple of weeks, and we're going to get that going. Any questions?
Thanks for what you do, Michelle.
You want to update, I know a couple of council members got an email about the mailbox location off of Deer Pond.
Chase and I had talked about that last week or week before. We're going to do hot asphalt on that because the stuff that we have just doesn't hold. That's the water, and then you got the people coming off the edge of the road right there. We called today. We can get hot asphalt delivered the week after Christmas. And so we're aiming for either that week or right after the new year, get that done.
And we can't put concrete there because?
Because there's a water line right there.
Thank you, Michelle. City Engineer, Mr. Turner, you're up.
Thank you. I think we've got a drainage update is the first item, and we are working on getting a bond packet together for the CIP items that we discussed. As you recall, there was about $3.78 million in the CIP for drainage projects. Of that, about 1.8 million were main projects, larger projects. And so I think we're looking at trying to prepare a bond packet that would include those main projects for this upcoming year. I think we're about maybe 2 to 3 months away from having that ready. I prepared a schedule for Brian some time ago, a few weeks ago. And the projection was that if we could get that prepared and have it ready for a bond issue around May timeframe, then we could be looking at start of construction, start of design mid to late summer, and then construction bid time of late this year. So, and that would put us at a completion date of about a year from November. So that's the projection we have. At about the time we get this ready to put out for a bond, 6 months or so of drainage fee income, which I think has been higher than anticipated. So we should have a pretty good fund started to fund that project. So
and I meant to ask Maha when he was here, when Eric Maha and I discussed the bond project, they're going to want to see 6 months of sustainable revenues. That's that way they know we're not just faking it when we tell them we can pay it back.
So you're saying completion of drainage projects late 2023?
Yeah, November 2023 is what I have on the screen. And of course, those will be, there's multiple projects
Right.
within that, so last project completion.
Do Fort Worth, and I'll have Rose come back to drainage here in a second.
Okay. So the El Chico pump station site is ongoing, as you know. The tank foundation has been completed. I was by there yesterday, and they were finishing upgrading of the sand that fills the interior. So they expect erection to start shortly after the first of the year, and underground utilities will start going in around that same time. So probably start seeing the tank going up here in the next month and a half, 2 months or so.
Are we still on schedule for?
My understanding is we are still on schedule for the May completion. So, they're moving along as expected. So
What's the status on the Hudson Oaks water line? Is it? I mean, we got it in. It's installed. It's in the ground.
It's completely installed.
Did they pull the pig on that? Or are they going to
No,
pull? They'll pull the pig
so-
when we get the water in, right?
Right, we're going to wait until they're going to wait, and they're going to come back, the contractor's going to come back, I think it's mid-spring, March, April timeframe. Pull the pig and have it all ready for, actually, I'm sorry, May timeframe, when the water goes online, they'll come back and pig it, test it at that time, and then be ready.
We had a very critical decision to make last week. They literally asked me and Sterling what color they wanted the light covers to be. The switches. I went with hot pink. So.
Thanks, Derek.
Rose, you want to come and, so I know council's probably been asking questions about the drainage fee and whatnot. We get it, or we were getting it, multiple times a day. And so, Communications Director Rose Hoffman, put a list of things together, and I'll let her kind of go through summarize all 17 of them, however you want to do it.
So between November 12th of 2019 and August 27th of 2021, the drainage fee for the new utility was mentioned 17 times. It was mentioned at the November 12th council meeting, the March 10th of 2020, July 28th of 2020, October 27th of 2020, and December 8th of 2020. The first article was published on our website on January 21st of 21. It was published 3 separate times in the community news on January 15th, January 22nd, January 29th of 2021. It was the headline item in the city newsletter on February 1st, 2021. There was another article on February 12th, 2021 in the community news. It was mentioned again at the February 23rd city council meeting, in the February 26th issue of the community news. It was in the city newsletter as the headline item again on March 1st of 2021. It was posted to the city website and newsletter on March 4th of 2021. Again in the community news on March 5th of 2021, and once more on the city website on August 27th of 2021. This has not stopped us hearing several times a day. This is the first I'm hearing of it. So, my response has been to ask these individuals, where are you getting your news about the city? And their response is, I don't look at anything. So at that point, if you guys have feedback, I am more than interested to hear that feedback. We're running into a similar conundrum with another thing we're trying to get the news out about. I am pushing everything as hard as I can on our channels when it comes to this drainage. I would love to have gotten this in front of even more eyes than we already did. But this, short of knocking on doors, I'm not sure what else we could have done on this.
Is a mailer too expensive?
Mailers are extremely expensive. And we actually, we used to do the printed city newsletter in each water bill individually, and it was costing us to the tune of about $12,000 a year.
So what if we just limit it to fee changes, that sort of thing?
We did do a mailer on our new alert system, And the response I'm getting is, I don't open my mail, my bill is the same every month.
What if we did a postcard?
A postcard is an option. Just bear in mind, anytime we do anything print or mail related, it's very expensive. Now, we can do it. I'm happy to do so. It's just, I usually try to go with a little bit more cost-friendly manner, which is why each water bill every month has a QR code that takes you directly to our newsletter, which, but again, then you have to scan the
I was
QR.
going to say, I don't think you mentioned in there, it was printed as an item separate on the water bill.
It was.
It was,
Yes, it was.
if you opened your water bill, it was different, and it said, public hearing on drainage fee.
Yes, it
and had
did.
the date, so.
Yeah, you're right, that should be on
So
my
you didn't
list,
have
too.
that in that
Yeah.
list, but that was the cost-effective way of getting it in the mail to people, is printing it on the water bill. But as you said, people say, I don't look at my water bill.
And going forward, if there's a particular initiative that y'all feel very strongly about, that you want to really go that extra mile, we can absolutely do print products and send those to folks. Just bear in mind that when we send something printed to folks, we have to pay for the printing costs. I have to pay for, whatever it costs to be able to get the stuff from the printer or back and forth to the printer, and then there's postage as well. And that still doesn't guarantee that people will open it. For our new alert system, we actually put a door hanger on every single door in the city. And out of, 77,000 residents, I have 127 signups. And that's literally hanging something on their doors.
I don't know that we can do any more than what we're doing as far as getting the word out to people. If they choose not to read print, if they choose not to listen, if they choose not to do the internet, there's nothing we can do.
In-
17 times
Yeah.
on one item, that's.
In speaking to some of my fellow members of TAMIO who are in larger communities who are more experienced than I am with this sort of thing, this is not a unique to Willow Park problem. And this is a very universal problem. What I have been advised when it comes to these things is it's a marathon, not a sprint. So we take it and we talk to each individual person that comes into City Hall who says, this is the first I'm hearing of whatever. I come out of my office every time. And I say, let me get you signed up for our alerts. Let me get you signed up for our website. Let me show you where to go to look for this news. So it may come down to us needing to just have that one-on-one contact with people and show them this is where you can look for that information. But I mean, we can put it out there and
You've got
hope
to
that
read
people
it.
go look for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will say on one comment of having the additional flyers, and we were doing the newsletter, flyers, postcard, anything like that, then you're going to get into a danger zone of what do you do it for? And you're going to get the complaint of, well, I got it when we did the drainage fee, but you didn't give it to me, so that expectation of now, so then we're going to have to, if we do it for everything, they'll start ignoring it.
And
But then we'll
I'll
have
just
a
repeat
problem.
this for the audience and the benefit of those watching at home. If you go to the City of Willow Park website, there is a red banner at the top of the page that says, click here for urgent alerts. It is 2 minutes to sign up, and I highly, highly encourage everyone to do so. Below that, there is a green subscribe button that will give you an alert anytime anything is posted to the website. You subscribe to those two things, you will get every bit of news we push out. Please tell your neighbors.
Thank you. Thank you, Rose.
Thanks.
Planning and Development Director.
Yeah, you get me. Just get me.
What I would like to do, and I won't keep you a long time, because you see I have 2 pages and everybody else only had 1. These are our current commercial projects that are either new projects, extensive updates, remodels and all, and I'll go through them real quick. If you have any questions along the way, please stop me. These are the projects that are either currently under construction or we are working with them on their civil plans, their infrastructure improvements. The first one's the Ambulatory Care Surgery Center, which is at 125 Mary Lou Drive. We have reviewed the revised civil plans. They have been approved. The engineers have asked that we not do pre-construction meeting with them until late January, early February. They've got another project going here, so they're wanting to get a little further along. We will be in the process in the near future reviewing the construction drawings. They will come forth for the building construction. The second project is a medical office building at 110 Mary Lou Drive. That's the lot that's kind of the triangular shaped lot at the service road and Mary Lou Drive. It is 110 Mary Lou. We have the civil plans approved. We did a pre-construction meeting the first of this month. And right now, all we're waiting on are the performance and maintenance bonds so they can begin the civil work. The construction plans are under review and have been, we should have them back in a couple of weeks with first comments. GI Alliance is the endoscopic center. That is at 130 Gemma. That is the lot that is the far north corner of Mary Lou, Gemma, and, oh, I forgot the other street. And next month, we're going to have a map with all of this, with little pinpoints. This is the endoscopic center. The civil work is completed. The building permit has been issued, and they are beginning construction on this project. Willow Park RV Storage, which is the final plat that was approved as a previous item on this meeting. We do have the civil plans. There are a couple of fire department updates to do on the civil plans, and then we will be ready for pre-con probably, I'd say probably the first week of January or second week of January. And as soon as we have the performance and maintenance bond, they do have, you may see some dirt work going on out there right now, and we have authorized them to go through and start on some dirt work because there was an extensive amount of dirt that needed to be moved on the project. So they are doing that. The next project is what is called the District. It's at 460 Shops Boulevard. It is a proposed 27,000 plus square foot commercial retail and restaurant project. This is on the Wilkes property. On the development, it would be to the northeast of the shops at Willow Park.
Is this what Kyle announced, or the shops at Willow Park
Yes.
back in April? Or-
Yes,
yeah.
yes. This is, we do have the civil plans that have been reviewed and are approved. Probably do some pre-con with them, I would say, in the next 2 to 3 weeks, sometime after the first of the year. We are going to need, and you will have that on your February agenda, a replat. They're building over some lot lines, so we will need to replat that property, and then they will be ready to proceed with civil improvements and then hopefully construction in the spring. Canvas at Willow Park is on the northwest corner of Meadows Place Drive and Kingsgate Drive. That is the proposed townhome development in the Wilkes, on the Wilkes property, and is part of the PD and TERS that was approved back in 16. The plat has been approved, the civil plans have been approved, and we are awaiting construction plans. We did a virtual meeting with the contractor, and they should be submitting plans, I would think probably right after the first of the year. Trinity Christian Academy's athletic complex is nearing completion. One of the things we have, and you will see this in the next probably month or two, we are doing some extension and realignment of Bankhead. And we have now had the opportunity, if you remember, the realignment of Bankhead was going to come up and connect with the service road there at a 90-degree angle instead of the strange angle that we had with the right-of-way that was abandoned. But we've now had the opportunity to extend Bankhead east and west parallel with the service road. So Eagle, I believe it's Eagle Road or Eagle Drive, will be the north-south connector. And we're going to be able to align the main entrance into the athletic complex and make us, it's almost like a four-way intersection, which will greatly help with traffic, because the traffic from that facility is going to be, it's going to be not all the time, but when it is, it's going to be heavy traffic. So we are really happy, Trinity Christian, as well as the people that have the Porter Edition, Mr. Jim Martin. They have worked extensively on this, and you will see this coming forth probably in February. Extra space storage, that is the climate control storage at 4600 East I-20 Service Road. They're currently at the dry-in stage, and the exterior walls, I think you can start to see coming up if you look off to the interstate. I don't have an estimated completion date on that. Forney Fence, 4910 East I-20 Service Road on the south side. Their construction permit has been issued. They are in the framing stage and going pretty fast with that building. You can see it if you look off to the south of the service road. The Willow Crossing townhomes at 402, this is 402 through 538 Willow Crossing Drive East. Those were the 58 townhomes that were approved in the village of Willow Park back in 17. In December.
It was October of 17.
October of 17. Brian
That's
always
all right.
remembers that date. But 46 of the 48 units have been permitted. They are in the framing stage of construction. I think you can probably see those if you head down Willow Crossing or Willow Bend Drive. The Preserves, which is the 152 unit senior living complex, 149 Mary Lou Drive, those are in the final stage of construction. There has been a punch list. Final inspections have not quite been done. They kind of had a slowdown, I guess, like everybody else. Furniture, fixtures, cleanup, painting and all, but hopefully, I would think probably maybe February timeframe, just depending on how quick they can get the final, the furniture and fixtures in there, they should be complete. I know there's been a lot of pre-leasing that has gone on with that project. The MK office building at 151 JD Tolles, that's a 3,300 square foot office building. They're getting close to completion. They're in what I call the air conditioning final phases of that. That's probably a March or April timeframe on that. And then First Texas Bank, 100 Willow Bend Drive. Certificates of occupancy have been issued on the majority of the building. They're doing some cleanup and final improvements, but they are open for business. And I have one other thing. The Fort Card Room, which was 243 Willow Bend Drive, spaces 101 and 102, that permit has been rescinded and the permit fees are being returned. And we have in space 102, we have a finish out permit for retail women's boutique. And that has been sent for review just for the finish out. So that should be forthcoming in space 102 in the near future. As I said, next month we will have a map with dots and corresponding numbers. And hopefully, if there are other things that you see, I know in other cities I've been with, we monthly, starting the first of the year, will do just a very short report that says we've issued X number of residential permits and the valuations. And then if we do significant additions or remodels to those residents, we'll include that, and we'll give you an update each month on that. Any questions I can answer?
Thank you, Betty.
Thank you, Betty. Super
Eric,
informative.
Thank you.
Do you have a question, Eric?
No, I was thinking, I think I got it all.
You can call and ask.
Okay.
Do we want to go back to future agenda items or
Yes.
move on?
Yes.
Okay.
Any,
I think last meeting I brought up that maybe we should start examining a road utility for updating the asphalt roads. We have a few of those roads that were rebuilt in the past few years already deteriorating, so we need to take a look at that. This is independent of what we approved tonight for
Independent.
reconstruction. This is going back and doing maintenance.
the street maintenance fee.
Yeah, street maintenance fee.
Is that a Derek Turner job? Can I? Okay.
That won't be on the January 11th agenda.
Well, I was going to say, when we did stormwater utility, the first step was this is what a stormwater utility
Yeah.
fee
Yeah.
is and the process. So that,
Yeah, okay. I thought you wanted an actual, this is the fee.
No, that's.
Okay, got
like,
it.
how does the process work if we want?
This is the step one of,
Right.
Got it.
what, 27 steps or whatever.
Got it. We'll lay that process
then,
out for you guys.
So what are we requesting?
A street maintenance fee discussion or discussion of a street maintenance fee process. The process is involved.
Okay, anything else?
Well, brought up the card room, so revisiting the ordinance for the entertainment.
That's going to come up I believe that'll come up on the, we're going to do it, it's February, because it's got to go to P&Z in January.
Okay. Let's see. So Bankhead was mentioned quite a bit, so, you know, there's been some discussion off and on over the past several years of expanding Bankhead, and part of it's in ETJ, part of it's county, part of it's city. I'm not even sure where it sits right now, you know, but everything from the east side of Willow Park all the way to Micus, I think, has challenges. And do we have a overall plan of what we think should happen with Bankhead, or where does that sit?
We're in
Is
the
that a county
process-
discussion?
We're in the process of meeting with the county judge and county commissioner to work something out with Bankhead.
Okay,
We have not done that, but we're in the process of doing it.
okay.
Anything else?
I'd like to see just kind of, I guess, we've had good discussions from a lot of our, what other I guess, maybe some of the intangibles that the city still needs to look at. Do we have, you know, appropriate signage for where everything is as we continue to grow? Do we have just kind of our, some of the website stuff updated as well? I know that's part of Rose and the communication, but just looking at maybe a little bit deeper dive as we start the new year next time. I mean, it doesn't have to be initially, but just as the city continues to grow, what are some of the things that may fall between the cracks of different departments, and just kind of trying to take a closer look at covering all our bases as we continue to grow and continue to try to make improvements for each aspect of the city.
Okay. Leah?
Anything else? All right, gang, we're going into executive session.
Very quick, so are we going to take a action on adding this street maintenance fee process?
No, we're just